Hello and welcome to episode 92 of the She Must Knit podcast. My name is Erin and thank you so much for spending some of your time with me today. I hope you guys had a great week. It is the new year. Welcome 2020. I hope you had a really nice New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. Last week was surprisingly very busy for us. I think we had something going on every day except New Year's Day. That was the only day that we ended up staying home and really doing nothing. So yeah, I just haven't had a lot of time to myself. I keep saying this, when everybody's home, I just do not get a lot of time to myself. So it is the first day back to school today. Avery will actually be home in about 40 minutes. So hopefully I can get this done in time, but I had to wait till today because I just didn't have any other time. So hopefully after this I will be able to get back to my normal schedule. I really do prefer to record on Fridays and have it up on Saturdays for you. So this is the first episode of the new year. And I am really excited. I've got my bingo card. If you're participating in the Bling Your String Crafty bingo, then I know you have your card ready, and in the group everybody's chatting away and we are just all chomping at the bit to get going on our goals. So I have some projects today that kind of work towards that, but let's see, what do I have for you today? I have 2 finished objects, I have 2 works in progress, new cast-ons that you haven't seen before, and then I have some progress on an ongoing project. At the end, I think I would like to do kind of a year-end project wrap-up. So how many projects did I get done this year? What kind of projects were they? I want to have a look at the Ravelry challenge. If you're not familiar with that, every year, in the last couple of years, Ravelry will let you put in a goal number of projects to complete over the year, and then it will kind of track your percentage as the year goes on. So how did I do with my goal this year? So we are going to get started with the finished objects. And as always, I am going to start with my Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. So these are my December Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. And I did in fact finish them on time. I think it was about 6:30 or so on New Year's Eve that I finished these. So it definitely was not as stressful as November. I ended up having the evening to myself as our town was they put together kind of a family New Year's Eve thing at our local sports arena, and there was skating and there was like a bonfire outside and there was fireworks and there was activities and stuff like that. So Dennis took Avery over to participate in that, and I had the evening to myself, so I was able to sit and just enjoy and just finish my socks. So these were done in the colorway Stranger Things. I am knitting these as a pair of gift socks for one of my brothers for this next coming Christmas. And yeah, I start off with 72 stitches. I do a nice long ribbed cuff 2x1 ribbing, and then I just did a plain vanilla sock with a German short row heel. This heel fits him really well, and it's a nice quick easy heel to do, so when I have the opportunity to do that heel, I really like to do that heel. As you can see, or if you look closely, you'll notice I did what I like to do, where after the first sock, I'm trying to think, this was the first sock, and after the first sock I like to rewind the cake so that the stripes are going in the opposite direction. So this is the second sock, and the black and red sections kind of line up, but you can see the blue and gray sections are kind of reversed in the middle there. So I'm really happy with how these turned out, and now I can put them in the gift cupboard, and that is one less pair of gift socks that I have to worry about completing this year. That is a goal on my card. I do have a certain number of gift socks that I want to do, but I don't have to worry about that brother now. So the next work in progress, oh no, we're on finished objects. The next finished object that I'm going to talk about is, I don't actually have here to show you. I did have to give it to the recipient. If you remember last episode, I was working on the ribbed beanie for my husband's friend. So his wife had contacted me, asked me if I could make a hat for his unusually large head that is very hard to fit, and I said that was fine, it just wouldn't be done for Christmas. But I don't think I did too badly. I finished it just shortly after Christmas, so when Avery went over there for a sleepover on Saturday, and when Dennis went to pick her up on Sunday, he was able to bring the hat with him. So I do have some pictures. I don't have it to share with you, but it's a ribbed beanie, so it's not overly exciting anyway, but I will put in some pictures as I have them. So the pattern that I followed was the Erie hat, and I really like this for just a plain ribbed hat, especially for guys. I find they don't like anything fussy. They just want something very simple. The closer to store-bought that it can look, the better. And I just thought this hat had a very polished look to it. I only made 2 changes to the pattern to kind of accommodate his larger head size. I increased the cast on stitch number by 1 repeat, so I looked further on in the pattern when you started decreasing for the crown, and whatever the number was that you kind of repeated through, I added 1 repeat of that to the cast on stitches. And then I also did a tubular cast on using the crochet method so that the edge of the brim would have a really nice finished look, and also it would be really stretchy, and it was. So I have all of my changes linked in the project page, as well as a link to the tutorial that I used for the crochet method to do a tubular cast on. I would absolutely use that method again if I was looking for a nice edge on a hat or a ribbed cuff of a sweater or something like that. If I had the patience, I would even consider doing it for socks, because it is a really nice finished stretchy edge, but I just don't have the patience for that. So anyway, so the Erie hat, I have some pictures I'll put in here. So I've got a picture of the finished hat laid out here. The yarn that I used was the Lion brand Heartland. It is 100% acrylic. It is 250 yards of a worsted weight yarn. And the other thing I did, all in all, this project turned out perfectly. But I was surprised at how perfectly it turned out, considering I used a worsted weight yarn. That was something else that I did to try and make the hat a little bit bigger. The original pattern calls for a DK weight, but I used a much smaller needle than you would typically use for a worsted weight, because I didn't want it to be too loose as a hat. I wanted it to be a little bit denser. So I used a 3.5 millimeter needle, and the risk you run with doing that is that the fabric that you get, yes, it's going to be denser, but it could also be very stiff. However, with this hat, even though I used a smaller needle, this yarn had a really nice amount of drape to it. I took 2 pictures of myself wearing it. So I've got one head on, and I'll put that in here, and then I've got one from the side that you can see how it's slouched. So remember, I made this for someone with a very big head. I think he had around a 24-inch head or so. I have a relatively smaller head. I'm slightly smaller than average. Friends in my family, we have little pea heads, but I could have worn this hat if I wanted to. I mean, obviously it was too big for me, but I could have worn this hat. But you can see from the side profile picture that even with the smaller needles and the thicker yarn, it still had a really nice amount of drape to it. So all in all, I was really happy with how this turned out, and I got a text message from his wife the day that Dennis brought it over, and she said it fit him like a glove. He was really happy with it. So hopefully he will enjoy wearing it. And yeah, that was all in all, that was a success. And it ended up working towards my bingo card. One of the goals on my card was to finish 2 whips that were started prior to 2020, and I started this one before Christmas, so I finished it in 2020, so that counts towards that square on my card. So I got one little check mark on there, which is really exciting. So the next thing that I have to share with you are the 2 new cast-ons that I have, and of course the first one is my January Desert Vista Dyeworks socks. I will be participating again this year. I do have a nice little stockpile of yarn. I think I have enough to get me through the entire year once my exclusive skein comes from completing the entire year. And then also, if you guys didn't know this, if you're participating, there's 2 ways to participate in this challenge. You can enter on Ravelry, where you enter your photos in the thread every month, but you can also play along on Instagram, and you get you have a personalized hashtag that you use. So there's the general hashtag that's used for the whole challenge, but then you have a personalized hashtag. If you use your personalized hashtag and you post over 100 times throughout the year, you will get a skein of your choice. So I am not only receiving the exclusive skein, but I also got to choose a skein of my choice. So I will be getting 2 skeins in the mail within the next probably 2 months or so. And with those, I am set for next year. So the only things that I will purchase will probably be when I get my coupons after the 3rd and 9th month, and then I get my skein from 6 months. So I don't need to buy a lot to keep going next year, but I do want to stock up a little bit in case I want to participate the following year. So we'll see how this year's goes, but my plan is to participate the whole year. So all that being said, I'm going to show you my January socks so far. I only started them yesterday, so they are not very far along, but I did post a picture on Instagram of the 9 skeins that I currently have, and I asked you guys to vote on which one I should cast on. I really had no preference. There wasn't one that was kind of pulling me in, and this was the winner. How happy is this skein? This is the color Badlands, and in this dreary January where every day is gray and kind of bleak, this is such a happy color. I mean, it looked really happy in the skein, but when I kind of caked it up, I was like, ooh, this is going to be so much fun to knit with. So I am happily working away on that. And this is what I have so far. So I just have the cuffs started here. And these are going to be for me. So my pattern that I like to do is 81 stitches cast on 2x1 rib. I like a nice long ribbed cuff, and I do like a longer leg. So I'm probably going to do these as a vanilla sock just so that it's not too time consuming, but I do like a long leg, and I'm probably going to do the triangular shaped heel that I've been doing throughout the last year. I just find that it fits me the best. I can wear a German short row heel. It just doesn't fit my foot as well as the triangular heel. And so I think as long as time permits, I'm going to make the extra effort and do the triangular shaped heel. But this is what I have so far, and the colors are just so much fun. I can't wait to see all the different little stripies and how they turn out. So hopefully, I mean, it's a bit of a late start. It is the 6th of January, and I'm not even done the cuff. Hopefully by the next episode, I'm going to try and get through the heel, because I like to have my first sock done by the middle of the month so that I have plenty of time for the second sock, but we will see. But yeah, so that is my progress on my January sock. And then the other new project that I cast on actually is using a yarn that you will be very familiar with, because I just showed you that project. But I am making something else with my leftovers from my December Desert Vista Dye Works sock. So I had a good portion of yarn left over. So in the last episode, when I was talking about my goals for December, which ones I finished, which ones I didn't, one of my goals had been to finish the sweater that I was making for Avery out of the chenille yarn. And last episode I mentioned how I'd kind of lost my motivation to finish that. I'd rather cast on the pattern that I have in mind for this year on my bingo card, the one that's going to match the baby and her are going to have little matching sweaters. So I'm more motivated to start that, and so I said I was probably going to rip that sweater out and just find a new project for that yarn. Well, I think I have done that, and this is the start of something that is going to go with that chenille yarn. So I have it all here. I think I'm just going to talk about it all together. So these are the colors of the chenille yarn that I have. I had this pink and black that I was going to use to make her color blocked hoodie sweater. And then I had this teal color that I was going to use to make a chenille octopus, a toy for the baby, because the little curly tentacles apparently are something that newborns really like to hold and cuddle. So that was my plan for this yarn, and that has changed slightly. The teal is still going to be a chenille jellyfish, but now I've decided I'm going to make 2 little baby sets. So as I've mentioned before, we do not know what the gender of the baby is. Dennis doesn't want to know, so we're just not going to know. It's going to be a surprise. And I thought it would be fun to have two little sets ready, a boy set and a girl set ready for April, so that after the baby's born, or like when Avery comes to the hospital, because she won't know until she gets there, there'll be a little set to kind of put the baby in that will be like, okay, it's a boy or it's a girl, right? So I'm going to use the chenille yarn for that. It's a super, super soft yarn. So my plan is for these two yarns, so this will be for the girl set and this will be for the boy set. I'm going to make kind of a cocoon, so one of those little baby sacks with a little cocoon that you can kind of, you know, put them in and keep them all wrapped up. I mean, it's more, I think, for pictures than it is functional, but if you were to wrap them up in kind of a flannel blanket and then pop them in there, it's just all nice and cozy. So I'm going to make two cocoons, which should be really fast projects, and then I'm going to make each set an octopus. So the teal octopus will go with the boy set, and I will make a pink octopus to go with the girl set, because I do have more of that pink yarn than I do of the black yarn. And then the other part is that each little set will have a newborn hat. So I have started the hat for the boy set. So this pattern is the Easy Peasy baby sock hat, or something along that lines. I will put a picture in the corner there, but this is what I have done. So I am following the pattern with the cast on numbers and everything, except I decided to do a ribbed brim instead of the rolled brim. So I think I'm actually right at the point now where I can start the decreases, and I am going to do the little knot detail on the top. I think that is really, really cute. But yes, this will be the hat that goes with the boy set, and I thought this was just a good color because I thought it went really nice with the teal for the octopus, and then also the black for the little snuggle sack. So I think that's going to be a really, really cute set. And then I've also got my yarn picked out for the girl set. So I had a whole bunch of yarn left over from my November Desert Vista Dye Works socks, and I think this color will really coordinate nicely with the pink chenille for a pink octopus and a pink snuggle sack. So that is my plan. I don't think the hats will take very long once I have a chance to really work on them. I don't think the snuggle sacks are going to take very long. I do have a square on my bingo card for the chenille octopus, so I'm going to count both of those as the project for that. And then I do have some squares. I think I maybe have 2 squares on my bingo card for just a random baby knit. So I will count the snuggle sacks and the hat kind of as one project and fill one of those squares. Technically, I could break things up and I could fill both squares, but I know I'm going to be making other things throughout the year, so I'm quite happy just taking this as a project and marking off one of those squares with these items as a full project. So those are the new cast-ons that I have this week. And then the only other thing I worked on was my cozy memories blanket. So last episode I talked about how one of my goals for January was to finish off the 2019 section of my cozy memories blanket. The way I am working this is each year after I finish all the squares, I kind of edge it in black and I add a little tag. This is going to be a gift for Avery once she leaves the house, so I really like to have, I like the idea of having a very visual progression of how much I put into this blanket each year, and just, you know, the sense of time that it took to make it. And I was about 5 or 6 squares away from finishing the row that I need to finish to block off 2019. So that's what I worked on this week. Last I showed it to you, I had put in my November socks here. So this is my December socks, and then these 2 squares, even though I didn't finish this project in 2019, I did start it, so I'm putting it in just because I want to get this row done. These are the 2 yarns that I am using to make those micro stripe socks that I really want to get back to, so I put those in there, and then I have 2 other spaces to fill before I can edge this kind of section off in black and add a little tag. So what I'm thinking for this one is I'm going to add the yarn, the stroll yarn, the Knit Pick stroll yarn that I'm using for my Advent socks for the cuff, heel, and toe. It's that light gray with kind of a silver sparkle. I'm going to use that yarn to fill this square, and then I think I'm just going to have to kind of pick a yarn that I have to just fill in that last square, so that I can end it off and get this section going, so that I can start adding, as I finish fingering weight projects in this year, I can start adding them in. That really worked for me this past year, where I didn't leave it too late, like I didn't leave too many built up. As I finished projects using fingering weight yarn, I would try and get them into the blanket, maybe 2, 3 at a time, and that worked so that by the end of the year I wasn't overwhelmed with a whole bunch of yarn that I had to put into the blanket. So I did want to work on that this week. I got the 3 squares in. I have 2 squares left, and then I can edge that off. So maybe next week I can show you the 2019 section edged off and tagged and all ready to go. So the final thing that I want to talk about is my year-end project wrap-up. So kind of what projects, how many projects I completed this in 2019, and what kind of projects they were. But before I get into that, I just realized that I forgot to announce the winner for December. So if you are a new viewer, every month I like to take the entries from my comments. So on every video, any comment made on any of my videos in a given month counts as an entry, and any purchase made in my shop counts as an entry. And I take all those entries at the end of the month and I pick one winner, and that winner gets a $20 coupon to use in my shop. It is my way of thanking you for participating and supporting my little channel and my little shop. So the winner for November was Tracy Marr, and I have noticed that you have just started in the last couple of months commenting on my videos, so thank you so much. You were picked as the November winner. If you want to either contact me through Ravelry or Instagram or through my shop, there's a contact tab at the bottom of the page. I will get your coupon set up for you. So now we can talk about my projects. So as I mentioned in the beginning, Ravelry has started this thing, I think in the last 3 years, where at the beginning of the year you can set a project goal. If you weren't aware of this, if you go to your notebook in Ravelry, you'll see in the right hand corner there's a little tab that says challenge. Click on that and you can enter in a number, which is your goal for the year, how many projects you want to complete. So I looked back, and 2018 my goal was 40 projects, and I completed 51 projects. And then this year, or this past year, 2019, I decided to up my goal a little bit because I had done so many projects the previous year. So I upped it to 45 projects, but I only ended up completing 36 projects. So 2018 was a really good year in terms of finishing projects for me. But last year I'm still happy with everything that I made. So going into 2020, I've decided to make my goal 35 projects. And I think if this was just a normal year, I would probably try 40 or 45 projects maybe. But I have no idea what my knitting time is going to be like. Even now, without having a newborn, there are just some days where I don't have the energy to do very much. So, and then once the baby comes in April, I just don't know. I don't know how much time I'm going to have. I don't know what I'm going to be able to accomplish. So I decided to kind of go on the lower end. What I did was look at my bingo card and look at the types of projects that I had already planned out and how many that kind of equaled up to. And then I think I added a little bit because I know there's a lot of things that I'll probably make that have nothing to do with my bingo card. So I came up with the number 35. That is my goal for this year. So looking at last year and those 36 projects that I completed, I ended up looking at them by category. I'm just curious to see, every year I'm curious to see kind of how it divides out by category. I ended up making 2 hats, so that's either child or adult hats. So I made 2 hats, 5 kid garments, 2 adult garments, 3 toys or things for toys. So I made a little a hat for one of Avery's dolls. I put that in the toy category. 3 miscellaneous, so that could be just like housewares, that could be a blanket. I think one of those was the blanket I made Avery. I ended up doing a cord cover for her headphones. I included that in miscellaneous. So 3 miscellaneous projects, and then 21 pairs of socks. I do like to aim for my unofficial goal every year is 2 pairs of socks per month, so I kind of like the idea of getting to 24 pairs of socks over the year. I didn't quite meet that, but I still did pretty well. I got 21 pairs of socks done this year. So all in all, you know, I'm happy with anything that I'm able to complete. But yeah, I just like seeing how the numbers break down. So let me know, did you do the Ravelry challenge last year? Did you pick a number, and how did you do? Let me know. I would love to know that. I think that is it. So the only thing that I want to pop in here is just a little note about my shop. So I had taken a bit of a break from it over the Christmas and holiday season. It's just, you know, I did my clubs and everything like that. Any orders that came in, obviously, I filled those. But in terms of making new products, I just kind of took a break. So now that the new year has started again, I really want to get back into that, but it's going to be at a much slower pace than before. So I know previously I had been doing every 2 weeks voting and then getting the collection ready. Let me know if you liked that. Did you like voting on the fabrics? Did you like having a collection based on the fabrics that you picked? Because I am going to have some shows later in the year. I'm going to have to not do the shows that I usually do in the beginning of the year for obvious reasons, but I do want to kind of, you know, a little bit at a time, get some stuff into the shop, get some stuff stockpiled so that when the shows come later in the year, I think my first one that I have officially like signed up for and been accepted into and everything is in August. Once the baby comes, I just don't want to be stressed out about getting that stuff done. So my plan is starting this month to just do little bits at a time, and kind of put them aside, put them in the shop, and just so that I have something ready for later in the year. So I would like to know, do you like doing the fabric votes and the collections? I would love to still do that. It just might not be every 2 weeks that they get finished. I just don't know week to week how what I'm going to be able to kind of produce, but I am going to be getting back into adding new items into the shop, and then I also am going to be getting the listings up for the mystery club this year. So I have a new theme. It's going to be mythical creatures, but it will be every 2 months instead of every month. So there will be 6 shipments going out throughout the year. I just have to sit down. Now that Avery's back in school, I actually have some time where I can just sit and figure things out and, you know, find the images that I wanted to use, get the listings up there. So hopefully sometime this week I will have the listings up. And I'm planning on getting the whole year's worth of listings up so that you can decide if there's certain ones that you like, or if you want to do bundles. I'll probably do some bundles as well. But that is coming. There is going to be a mystery club this year. It's just going to be 6 shipments instead of 12, and the theme is going to be mythical creatures. So I think that is all that I have for you this week. I hope you had a really lovely week and a really lovely weekend. And yeah, I will talk to you soon, hopefully back at my regular schedule. So have a lovely week, and I will talk to you soon.